Hello, beautiful souls. I wanted to jump on quickly, November 5th, and chat a little bit about the energy and what's going on, as well as obviously what's happening in the US with the elections. So, unfortunately, today I couldn't have Starla join me for our energetic casualty, which is a pity, but we will be back and we will be chatting soon. There'll be lots to talk about, absolutely lots to talk about. So, this isn't going to be a long message, but it's an important one. I don't also like to over convolute the message or make it too technical. I really just want to talk about the timelines, but I also want to talk about how we are important in this and why we're important and why where we put our energy is important too. Let me do that so you can actually see. I don't know. Okay. So there were a few timelines that are playing out that obviously potentialities or probabilities and in terms of percentages shift and change as we get closer to the event. So I've spoken about the fact that I've seen a timeline, a few timelines. One of them is that the election doesn't go ahead. One of them is that Trump actually wins, Kamala wins, etc. What I have been picking up on and what's becoming what feels to be more and more and more gaining more percentage in terms of probability is some type of interference in the election, like fraud, and it having to be stopped and postponed, right? Which I know would upset a lot of people. But I want to say, no matter what happens, whoever wins, or whether it doesn't go ahead, people are going to be upset. So there is a domino. This is a seed point. There is a domino effect that happens come this date. It's not yet the 5th of November in the States, but there is a domino effect that has to happen. There is a collective breaking, right? That's in the pipeline to come forward. So I've heard a few spiritual people, well, I've seen a few who've got quite big followings saying things like, how can you be spiritual and talk about discernment and think that Trump is a good guy, especially if you look at what's happening in Israel and what happened with the COVID vaccines, etc. So this is also where discernment really comes into it. It's a great question. Obviously, we need to always be questioning and we need to be double checking and we need to be not listening to others. We can take the insights of others and see how they sit and resonate within our own self, because that's what people who are out there putting out content who have a good intention are there to do, to help catalyze something within you. But ultimately, it's always going to come down to you, right? And what you believe and what you feel and what resonates with you. I want to address this in terms of Trump because I can see how people would think it's just the same side, this a different side of the same coin. And from one perspective, it is. We've all had to mature since 2020, right? Well, it's been going on for a long time, but since Trump lost in 2020, and for those who are on the path of awakening, realized that that was quite devastating because, as I've said, Trump represents freedom from the cabal structure. So does that mean he's our savior? Does that mean that he's a star-seated, enlightened, spiritual warrior? It does not mean those things. What we have to realize on this journey is that, yes, it is all about you. Yes, it's all about you doing your self-work, your inner work, being able to maintain a specific frequency, healing your trauma, you're releasing yourself of your belief systems. Absolutely 100%. However, we also need collective things to happen. In order for New Earth to properly spring up, it has to also come through in our systems. So while we are completely focused on working on ourselves, which we need to be doing, we also need to have an awareness around what is a dark structure and what holds light codes for a New Earth structure. And that is why Trump is important, because he is an energetic seed point for operating outside of a dark structure that has had control over our planet for a very long time. When it comes to the things that he might endorse, that, let me find the right words for this. So when it comes to people saying, um, but he promoted the vaccines or he is pro-Israel, please remember that even Trump has to play a character, right? I can see it when he speaks. There are so many things he can't say, and there are so many things that he absolutely cannot take a massive stance on because of the bifurcation. So in order for him to be able to get into power, he needs to be very, very, very careful, because there are not enough people that are at the point to understand the multi-layered, multi-dimensional aspect of this journey. This is what I mean in terms of people organically voting for Trump. So he is a seed point for freedom from the cabal. He has to be very careful what he says. I mean, if you just watch the Joe Rogan interview, you can literally see it. He's playing a specific character, which he has to do. And I think so many people do not get this. They do not get that if you're not just completely like speaking truth, then it means that you're bad. But in order for our planet and for our systems that have been in place for eons to collapse, there is a very specific, it's like a chess game that has to be played. So not everyone can hold that in that understanding in their body, but that is how I'm shown it, and that is how I see it. So yes, he does have to be very careful. Yes, he does have to play a specific role, and he cannot um, say certain things or even speak out against certain things until such a time as he has securely found his place. Remember, when he came into office in 2016, he was also very immature in that journey. It was very overwhelming, and um, and he's spoken about the fact that he didn't make some great decisions. But as we all do, right? So I've matured on my journey. Anyone who's watching this has matured on their journey. And it's okay. It's okay for people to evolve. It's not even okay. It's absolutely necessary for people to evolve. And that means sometimes changing your opinion on something as you align more and more into yourself. The most important thing here is that Trump is a seed point that represents freedom from cabal dark structure. Does that make him perfect? No. Does that make him the savior of humanity? No, absolutely not. You individually, through doing your own work, create that energy. We do it individually through our own ascension, personal. And that's like a wildfire that takes a light throughout the planet. But while that's happening, we 100% do need other things popping off. Like we have some different cryptos that have good energetic seed points for freedom, financial freedom, like someone starting up a very popular New Earth school, people doing things around original medicine. Okay, so we do need these structures that have been in place. We need prominent people stepping into these structures in order for it to take on a global shift. And I've said for a long time that I've spoken about the bifurcation, and I've said that there is a splitting. So old Earth and new Earth, as I'm shown it, which could change, will run alongside each other for a while. For quite a while, which means you get to choose where you want to put your energy. But at the moment, we do not have government structures where we can, mostly around the world, where we can put our energy that represents freedom from the overall dark structure. So we need these kinds of things. It's really not about Trump being the savior, but it is an energetic seed point. So with all of that being said, what do we do? What do we do with what's coming up? I don't think any medium or tapped in person can fully predict what's going to happen, and we're not supposed to, because that can influence the timelines too. So when I ask for what message I can bring to the people that see what I have to say, that message is know the truth, know what you want to, the highest outcome that resonates for you, and then align your frequency to, there are specific geometries and specific stargates that there's all this galactic support that's coming through. So when we align up to those frequencies and those geometries, we are helping to anchor that light into the planet. So we can know what we feel is the best timeline, but we can also let go of attachment. Okay, so I've spoken about this a lot. And whatever plays out, to maintain, this is where our maturity has come into play over the last 4 years of having to wait, I suppose is the word, because we feel like, when is this going to be? When is this going to be over? Guys, this lifetime, it's a big one, and it's not going to just break in one go. There's not going to be a flash of light that just suddenly, boom, everyone's awake and all in 5D and loving and happy. No, this is a very individual, deep journey where we're clearing a lot of stuff from past lives, your lineage, the trauma that the Gaia, the earth, holds. This is a deep, deep, deep journey, and that takes time, because it's a very long time of perpetual trauma that we're clearing. So please try, if anyone finds this before these elections start to swing off, with whatever the outcome is, please try to trust that the process is exactly as it needs to go, and that there is absolutely galactic support coming through. There's also obviously a dark agenda still, but there is, each individual is holding a specific puzzle piece. So we're all doing what we're meant to be doing, and we all here holding a piece of that puzzle through maintaining our own frequency, right? And there's so much freedom in the letting go of attachments. Letting go of attachments. So how do the timelines come into play, right? So what determines what plays out? Well, there's the collective consciousness that has a huge role to play. There is that galactic organic intelligence and support of light streams that's coming through. And as I said, there's also some dark agendas coming through. So it's a mishmash, absolute mishmash. And if you want to do anything to feel like you, or to know that you are supporting this process and the highest outcome, just close your eyes, go into your mind's eye, go into a state of neutrality, be guided. So I don't know where my last recording might have stopped. My internet connection went out. I'm going to have to figure that out. So I was saying, go into your mind's eye, move into a state of neutrality, work with your heartbeat, work with your breath, and just ask those geometries from these stargates to come forward. So if you can see them through your mind's eye, through your visualization, your imagination, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. You can't get this wrong. As long as you're in that neutral space and you're aligning and you're setting the intention to match up to these geometries that hold frequencies, just go into that space and become the divine channel. You are an anchor point. You're a rod of light on the planet at this time. So that's what I want to encourage you to do. Just take a minute, drown out all the noise, know the truth that resonates for you, understand the multidimensional layers, why this is important, and why no matter what happens, there is a changing of the guard, right? There is a breakdown. And this year's breakdown to breakthrough, breakdown to breakthrough. And the changing of the guard is important because there are emissaries of light. As I've said before, I said it in an interview with AJ, Nicola Light, and Magenta Pixie. I spoke about I see a potentiality for sort of a round table governance for our planet. So some people choosing, hey, I want to work under the old structure, and then that actually spreading out to different countries around the world. Hey, no, actually, I want to be governed by this structure. And so that there is a splitting that this election, whether it's delayed, whether they can't figure out who the winner is, whether Trump wins or Kamala wins, there is a splitting that's taking place that is allowing for a new way to come through. And that is more of a sort of round table. And if we look at RFK and people that Trump has brought on board, then we see that already that has started to come into play, more of a round table than a one person that governs, and a round table of people who have the best interests of humanity at heart, and that's their area of expertise. And there will be many more. There will be many more that come on board. So go into your mind's eye, just lie down for 10 minutes, align yourself and your heart with the stargates, with the beautiful galactic support that's coming through, and let go of any attachment, because fear is what propagates the dark agenda. Fear is what the dark feed off. It's how they work. It's how they manipulate the collective. And that is the biggest thing we can just really let go of right now. So I hope this helps. And I will be, I'm sure I'll be on chatting more as things develop. I'm sending so much love, and I will chat to you soon.